Welcome to Skin Diligent Longevity Lounge.
Oh,
Thank you for having us.
So, ladies, today we're talking about nutrition and longevity. And as usual, we're going to start with our little game show, which is Never Have I Ever. So never have I started a clean eating phase that lasted about a week.
I'm not actually.
Okay, good work. And never
Keep my hand up.
never have I ever had a night out that ended with me getting so drunk that I threw up.
Oh,
God! Oh, kids watching this.
Oh, dear me. Never have I ever bought supplements I was absolutely convinced would change my life and then forgotten to take them.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
We've all done that.
Yeah, the drawer's just too full.
Yeah, that's right.
In fact, the drawer rattles.
We're too ambitious, I think. Yeah.
So let's talk about this. Anisha, I'm going to start with you, and I know the answer, but you can explain it to us all again. How much nutrition training do doctors actually receive, and is it enough?
So I can't actually remember much of the nutrition 20 plus years ago that I received, and it wasn't a lot. But I think times have changed, and I think now it's still only 15 hours, which is not enough. And the irony is nutrition is probably one of the biggest markers of health long term, yet we get the least training, and it's the thing that we're not prescribing enough of. And that's the bottom line.
I mean, I've heard that horrible expression where people are undergoing cancer therapy and they've spoken to their oncologist and said, what should I eat? And the oncologist said, just carry on eating what you want.
No, I've got something to say about that. Just
Me too.
only because, and I know it's a very delicate subject, but when my dad had cancer and I wanted him to eat well, and I tried to encourage him to eat well, he told me to back off because he needed to eat what he could eat to keep down and sustain his energy. And I remember trying to get him to have like a green juice at one point. It's like, you and your yummy mummy rubbish, And I had to basically just
Back
go,
off.
absolutely, if that's the way you want to do it, you can. And whether that was the right thing or the wrong thing, I don't know, but it was better that he had something than nothing.
And for me, I had a stoma formed after my bowel cancer surgery, and I bought a green smoothie juice.
Oh.
And I was up the whole night, and the stoma nurse on the ward said, "What are you doing?" But my need to eat well and nourish myself was so strong. But then I went to the flip side through chemo, which was just barbaric, and I couldn't eat anything but rich tea and Rice Krispies for a week. And it's so upsetting, and you already feel guilt. You're having so many emotions going through cancer and its treatment, and you know what you're putting in your body's not right. But actually, you've just got to get through it. And then as I came out of that cycle of treatment, you would start eating well again. So I think it's really difficult. I think particularly with things like cancer, there's enough to feel guilty and rubbish about. And I think what I advise patients particularly is like, don't beat yourself up about it.
Do your best.
Do your best. And we did have the support of the dietitian. That's exactly what they'd say. So I kind of understand actually where the oncologist is coming from, because they will have seen it time and time again. They want people to keep the weight on and muscle mass if possible, so protein's really important. But actually, sometimes it's just not possible.
Well, and again, I was going to say that depending on where you're being treated and the system that you're in, not everybody can see a dietitian or get that supported help from a nutrition or dietitian. And so, you're lucky if you get that one-to-one help from someone who is knowledgeable. But
for normal consumers, non-cancer, I think the whole nutrition issue is so complex because so many people have advice on you should be doing ketogenic diet before cancer treatment. You should be, going Mediterranean diet. You should be, et cetera. And it's so confusing for a normal consumer to see what is healthy and what is adapted to me. And I think one of the things that I do is really ask the question, what is it doing to my cells?
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't it? This is a question of very personalised medicine, and we're talking about personalised at point of treatment. We're talking about personalised as in who you are, your size, your makeup, your metabolism. I personally don't agree with discounting anything. If you say no keto, no intermittent fasting, I think for some people these can be useful tools in certain situations. But I think the dangerous path and what's happening with consumers is that all of these words are out there, and I think people assume that we should all be intermittent fasting. We should all be on the ketogenic diet. We should all be on the carnivore diet. And it's important, isn't it, to put these terms into context.
But my worry is it's not sustainable. For a lot of these diets that we have out there, and they're not sustainable. What's sustainable is consistency, nourishment, and this 80-20 rule that we talk about, where you eat well for 80% of the time and not for 20%. Ketogenic diets, for epilepsy, certain types of epilepsy, brilliant. But actually for the general population, you are missing vital nutrients.
Yeah, agreed.
You are missing fibre, you're missing vitamins, your LDL, your bad cholesterol can go up. It's not good for the body generally. Intermittent fasting, we know in humans it can improve metabolic health. But currently with longevity, it's only in animal models as we speak. So I think the jury's out. I do actually fast. So, and that's for multiple reasons. I have done for many years. My father has diabetes. I'm Asian. I'm very conscious about my metabolic health. But actually for my gut, because part of my gut bowel's missing, it actually allows my gut to rest. So this is personalised for me, because otherwise I'm running to the toilet 20 times a day. But if I narrow my window, I'm still eat my 3 meals because I don't want to miss any nutrients out or fibre, but I'm doing it in that time. So again, it's personal.
I do. The other thing that I think is worried is we've all used the word diet. So it's just like every meal we have is a diet. Like we are going back quite rapidly towards the 90s, you know, when we look at images at the moment of women and cutting things out. And I actually think for me, the whole food thing, having had my own disordered background with food, is actually about adding. It's not
taking away.
But none of
adding.
my meals is a diet. It's my breakfast, it's my lunch, and it's my supper, my dinner, whatever I want to call it. I don't have a diet. I'm not on a diet. I'm just eating my meals. I get that obviously there's keto diet. They're called something else. But I think we have to try and encourage people to not think about the choices of what they're doing as a diet, and it's just the way they eat, because that word for me I think is really toxic and triggering.
I actually agree, yeah.
I always think whatever I'm putting in my mouth, is this sustaining me? Is this sustaining my health?
Is it nutritious?
Is it nutritious? Is it good for me? Is it a plus or a negative?
Yeah.
Where do you all stand on snacking? Because personally, it seems to me that we just snack all day. A lot of people have, you talked about 3 meals a day. A lot of people are grazing all day, 6-7 times a day. And the science would suggest that that's not great for our metabolic health.
Terrible snacker until I realised that that I was snacking because of my blood sugars. So it was learning what my body, and again, that was what I needed, not necessarily everybody needed in order to fuel and to stay level. So for me, that is the same camp that you are in, which is a savoury breakfast. So I actually, if I have Greek yogurt for breakfast,
I love Greek
my
yogurt.
body goes, ooh, we're on kind of a sweet day, and I just can't kind of like get rid of, I need something sweet. If I start with eggs and broccoli and spinach, and again, it's not actually complicated, that just makes me feel great. And then I will try to have sort of 3 to 4 hours in between. And if I'm hungry before that, I know that I possibly haven't had enough protein or fibre. But I think it's up to the individual to work out what they need.
Well, hunger is hormones, right? Yeah. It's led by hormones. So when I eat something that is going to feed my hormones, which is usually fatty food.
Good
so
fats and bad fats.
That's right. So I start the day with protein like eggs and a lot of butter, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Non-pasteurized butter that I get from France. Fantastic. If I do that, I'm not snacking. But if I don't, I will be like, I
It's
want
like an
something.
MCT type.
Yeah, MCT or olive oil.
MCT
That's my
oil,
butter. As a Greek, I love my olive oil.
Olive oil is amazing.
What was your diet like when you were younger?
So I'm probably going to break the mould with this, because my mum and dad had a health food shop. And so my mum was in 2026 now with all the trends. So she was all about the sprouted mung beans. We were Gujarati, so we had vegetarian food in the weekdays, and you might have some chicken or fish at the weekend. Everything was cooked from scratch. It was all about pulses, all these crazy vegetables and stuff. And I would moan and I'd get really cross with her, but that is what we had. And she lived by the 80-20 rule, because at the weekends we'd eat what we want. But as a teenager, though, that made me, I think, sometimes crave the treats, the sugar, the chocolate bar, the crisps, just like any other teenager. But it wasn't the same processes that my children and I have now. There wasn't as much awareness about nutrition. You know, I just was brought up with it. Whereas now my children are talking about these things because we talk about food a lot. They all love cooking. They're both doing food and nutrition, which is brilliant because I think all kids should know about nutrition. So I think I probably break the anomaly, but I did want those treats, and that's fine.
And controllable now in adult life?
In adult life, well, I think I've taken my mum's eating habits, thankfully, into adult life. I have to say, when I did shift work as a doctor for 10 years, it slipped. It really did. And clearly now I've had bowel cancer. I am so aware the last 7 years of diet. It's one of those things that I feel empowers me to be able to take control of my diet. I used to literally feel quite anxious if my children wanted a bacon sandwich, but now they can go and do that for a treat. But I don't need it in the house necessarily. But we eat well, we enjoy the treats. But I'm very conscious of plant diversity, getting in the 30 different plant points a week, of the fibre, making sure every meal is balanced, particularly for my teenage children, with proteins and vegetables or fruit at each single meal.
They need,
And I am consciously taking charge of it, and I enjoy it. And I hope my children, even though they do roll their eyes at me, like we were saying earlier, we also do. I want them to make their chocolate brownie, but you make it from scratch with things from home. And what can you add in to make it a little bit healthier?
Throw in some flax or some chia, or make it a little bit.
Actually, I've got to challenge my daughter at the minute. She's got on the fridge. We were talking about the 30 plant points. So she's writing down this week what all the different things are, including spices and herbs, I said, on the fridge. And she's really going for it.
Great.
So she's going, how can I get more? And she loves a bit of a challenge, a bit of a nerd like me. So, yes.
That's great. I ditto everything you say on that. Tule, what about you in terms of when you were younger versus now? Healthy?
No, actually, I grew up in South America, so I used to climb trees and just eat fruits from the tree.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Okay, she's just trumped all of
And the meat
us.
was, just grass
Wild.
grazed. Yeah, so it was really better, I think. But today, I'm coming back to that, but from a shop, but in the middle, I think I was really bad. Yeah, more commercial food.
Very quickly, one habit that you could share with our viewers in terms of improving nutrition, or one little tweak that might help with lifestyle.
I would say don't overcomplicate it, because I think that for so many people is where we fall off. So if I had to give one thing, I think I would just say, and it's coming to protein and fibre, I think would be my two biggest things, because I think once you've nailed that, everything else can kind of fall into place.
Yeah. And mine was going to be fibre. Fibre needs to be sexier. 96% of the population in the UK aren't getting enough fibre. Why does fibre matter? Our gut microbiome reduces cardiovascular risk, diabetes, blood pressure, constipation, bowel
Said
cancer.
to help with microplastics potentially as well.
Absolutely,
Could scrub you.
scrub the insides out. And actually, half of the UK aren't getting enough fibre. It keeps you fuller for longer. It helps with them with the metabolic health. Fibre, love it.
Yeah.
From an epigenetic point of view, I think it's not just what we eat, but also how we eat and what mental state we are in.
100%.
So it's having that meal with someone we love, sharing it with
Sitting
other
down,
people,
not on the
sitting
go.
down,
Taking
eating
a
slowly,
moment.
chewing. All these things also have such an impact. So it's not just what we eat.
Yeah, and not eating after 9 p.m.
Definitely.
Very
Not eating after
important.
9 p.m. And mine would be, if you're worried about your cravings and blood sugar spikes, try to stop with the snacking. And I know it's not as easy as it sounds, but that's one of the first things I did, was just stop eating in between meals. And it really helped me develop my relationship with food.
The one thing I have done, which really, really helps, and I always say it wrong, so you can correct me, is psyllium husk.
Psyllium husk is great.
It's a fibre supplement.
It's amazing, and I have started adding that to my smoothies, and that's great for your regularity,
Makes you feel
balanced
full.
blood sugar levels, and the fibre in that is off the
It's
charts.
great, and it's soluble as well, which is great, which means it just, pushes through, makes the stool nice and soft, and it's great for people.
Top tip as well, you can change the starch of your vegetables. So, for example, if you freeze a banana and then have it, it becomes resistant starch, which is
Peanut
better for
butter,
you.
spoonful
Same with
of
bread
peanut
and
butter.
toast.
Same with bread, toast and rice.
Yeah.
There we go.
do
We
all those
could
things.
carry on all day, ladies. Goodbye, longevity women.